now it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest. It's Robert Vallis of Signature Resources. He's president and CEO, and they're drilling currently the Lingman Lake Gold Project in Ontario. I'm quite excited to see the first results coming out of that. And one thing I forgot to mention in my introduction, we've pre-screened all companies. We either know them personally, like pre-pandemic, we've done a lot of traveling, we met a lot of management teams, we're invested directly, or we've had lengthy conference calls with management. So I just wanted to highlight that again, and I'm excited for Robert to join us. Robert, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Kai. Good morning and good day, everyone. Happy to be here for sure. It was a great presentation earlier. We are a Canadian exploration gold company, very much on the rise lately. We have been listed for a number of years, since 2013. However, only recently, since my appointment and that of the chairman, Paulo Lestrito, in late last year, mid-November, we've really worked hard to bring this into the light to demonstrate the incredible project that we have here with Lingman Lake and its potential. So diving in with it, we're well positioned coming out of the gate with a historic project that was discovered back in the 40s and was moving towards production before that firm ran out of money and World War II hit and so forth. Claims went into a fragmented state, and it stayed there for a number of decades before it was eventually consolidated by our founder, John Oliver. So what we have presently from recent consolidations, and we'll get into why, is over 32 kilometer strike length of land package, which consists of over 264 square kilometers. There was historic workings done there, as I mentioned, in preparation for what was to be the mining. Shaft, 3 sublevels, there's 28,000 meters of drilling. It's incredible what's been done. And out of that, there was defined an historical resource of over 234,000 ounces at just under 7 grams. And what we're going to see is that we believe that grade is significantly understated, not only from our own twin hole drilling in 2018, but also a lot of the historical data that we've been collecting. We are moving this historical resource as we speak into a 43101 compliant resource as a solid foundation for us to work on moving forward. We are currently in the process of our first drilling campaign, a 2,500 meter campaign focused on extending the strike length of this known resource towards the west, and we're certainly looking to have a multi-million ounce high-grade resource sometime in 2022. So we are excited about that. We are located in Ontario, just in the northern part of that prolific Red Lake geologic district near the Manitoba border. More specifically, as you can see here, we're up near the Manitoba border, about 50 kilometers from it, but surrounded with excellent infrastructure. We have airports all around us with our First Nation neighbors. We have some permanent roads, seasonal roads, permanent power on the west side. We've got permanent power, permanent roads all the way up, about halfway up on the Ontario side. The Ontario government is working as we speak on extending high tension, high voltage power up to as far as Sachiko Lake, which is 40 kilometers to the east of us. So we're excited about that continuing development of infrastructure that's all around us. We typically stage out of Winnipeg up through Thompson and into and through some of the First Nation airports here. Our land package, as I spoke of earlier, you can see here, our nearest neighbors, the Red Sucker First Nation, that's about 60 kilometers. Monument Bay to the north of us project, to the southeast of us is Musselwhite, and then it's Sachiko Lake First Nation, about 40 kilometers from us. This land package, as you can see, is massive. We've recently extended this to encapsulate the majority of this entire greenstone belt, which is what we're in and what our Lingman Lake resource is hosted within. Looking specifically now, zooming in at more closely at where the property is, it's within this patented claims. Our camp is here. We're drilling here to the west, the discoveries to the east. Lingman Lake is just south of us, just about a kilometer. This is the main transportation hub for us to move directly into site, equipment and so forth. It's been working very well. As you can see, zooming in closer here now, the historic resource here on the right side of the screen to the east. These red zones are anywhere from 2 to 20 meters thick, high grade mineralization, closely associated with this QFP, quartz feldspar porphyry package, which you can see is repeating to the north, but no drilling. So we're excited about the north-south extension of this, but even more so just on strike. This is a mesothermal deposit, so we know this tends to run along strike and to depth considerably. So we've started out moving towards the west for proof of concept on that strike to denote where the tip of the iceberg ends before we start going deep with it. But as you can see, we already know that several of these zones continue to the west of this post-mineralization diabase dike. And that is where we're focused. Looking more underground now at this historical resource, you can see the 28,000 meters of drilling that was done here is incredible. What's notable here, and this is with our working geologic model, as I mentioned, that we're very active on as we speak. The nature of the deposit is very lenticular, very friendly when it comes to thoughts about mining, extraction, and so forth. So when I put my mining engineering hat back on, this excites me quite a bit. The consistency of grade, consistency of mineralization is just nothing but optimal. And of course, we know that again, these mesothermal deposits run to depth. You can see we're only at about 180 meters to find direct from surface. So this kind of ounce density direct from surface has really excited me and of course our team and our present investors. You can see the historic workings that were done here in preparation for mining. Within these workings, there were bulk samples taken, all of which graded 19 grams per ton. And this is where I start speaking about the data that's coming in, that this is a much more rich system than the historical resource is indicating. This red shaft, you can see that was put between two sublevels, 100 foot or 30 meters by 1 meter diameter, graded 28 grams per ton. It's just incredible. On the west side of this diabase dike, as I said, this is where we're focused. You can see there was some drilling done here historically. They started to pick up one of the zones that we believe is the north zone. It is starting to tack, at least from the historic data, towards the northwest. But we certainly know and have some indications that the rest of the zones continue. So we are drilling here to about the same depth, about 200 meters, to extend this along strike first. I'm speaking about scale. It's important to note, with these mesothermal deposits, scale is everything. We are only 180 meters deep and have already nearly 250,000 ounces high grade. If we extend the strike and we assume that there's a consistency of that mineralization, which we fully expect there is, then you're looking at a very dense gold system per vertical meter. And when we start comparing that to other discoveries in this district and other gold systems, you can see that we can move quite rapidly up towards this rarefied territory. And from a depth component at only 180 meters direct from surface, we're excited about the depth and strike potential here. And it's certainly something that I think a lot about, knowing that to have that rich a gold system right at surface really speaks to likely a project that would have a very high rate of return. So again, quite exciting. The information on the left side of the screen is showing the twin hole drilling that we had completed in 2018. Most of these holes that were twinning the historical holes graded better than the historic holes they were twinning, which was quite a surprise. And you can see the results return are just incredible. Great widths, excellent grades, certainly well exceeding that historical estimate that was done in the late 80s. Again, this package of mineralization that's been discovered sits in such a small zone, barely 700 meters in strike by 300 north-south, but only 180 meters deep direct from surface. But so many other indications. There was a deeper hole drilled just 240 meters. It's not that deep, but it was beneath the existing resource and those underground workings. That graded 325 grams over 1.5 meters. I spoke about the bulk samples and the rays. There's a lot of data rolling in, indicating the richness of this, and just showing you here, you know, that richness of the deposit, the high grade nature of it, is not localized to some particular region or area. This is consistent across the entire known mineralization right now, particularly over where we are drilling now on the west side of the Diabase Dike. So again, very excited about that. Excited to determine how deep this goes. And now looking at the mineralization, this is important too. We're just looking here at two cores that were taken from the twin holes that were drilled on the west side where we're drilling. And they're pretty good indicators of what kind of mineralization is going on here. We are not chasing discrete quartz veins that you know, you would normally be looking at and fighting dilution and so forth. The mineralization, the high grade intercepts throughout this 10-meter sample, for example, at greater than almost 12 grams, is very consistent, and the mineralization itself is very consistent. The rock type, rock quality, very consistent and good. So again, sort of a mine engineer's dream. I haven't seen anything like this since my days of working at the Hemlo operations as a young mine engineer, but this is an excellent situation where we have a mineralization that's not only quite consistent in terms of its grading, but it's unfolded, it's unabused, as I like to say. It's not pretzeled up. You can see it's very consistent in its nature. So from that, it's been fairly straightforward to unlock and grow this resource rapidly. Coming back here quickly to the surface to reorient you, to the west is where we are drilling again to focus on extending these zones. And if we look more specifically underground at that, this is really the takeaway here. To the right side or the east is the historic resource and those mineralized zones that carry all the grade direct from surface right now. We are drilling actively on the west side right here, looking to extend these zones. And of course, we're getting multiple duty from every drill hole, which is fantastic, piercing multiple zones, giving us a lot of data in a very short amount of time. So from that 2,500 meters, we're certainly looking to establish firmly that this mineralization does continue towards the west and likely continues to carry the grade that we're seeing. Coming regionally now to sort of put a cap on things, we've expanded our land package mostly because we understand fully, you know, the potential that's behind these greenstone opportunities, and this one is no exception. This is a pristine greenstone belt. It's, as I said, it's subject to very little folding and a metamorphosis and disruption. Most of the mineralization you'd expect to find is along this peach-colored main contact, you know, all along, and you can see how we've worked to consolidate that quite recently and now hold over 85% of that. And Lingman Lake is right here in the purple. So as you'd expect at the inflection, the turning point where all of those fluids that carry the gold, once they see a turn in the road, like the dropout, well, that is where exactly you'd expect to find that. We also have significant sedimentary packages here as well. And as we know, those in conjunction with, you know, main fault zones and so forth are very exciting. And looking at that specifically here, the geophysics that were flown in 2018, we are preparing to fly this in early spring, the entire package, as well as LiDAR and some other things. So we're looking very much forward to expanding this. But as you can see, the fault zones, this main contact, we found a lot of targets here that our geos have been following up, and it's extremely exciting to see, particularly under, you know, these fault zones underneath those sedimentary packages we talked about, and so many others where we're getting, you know, surface results and IP results and geophysics that are just off the charts. You know, from that, we're looking to really drive the value, and that's where we are.
Fantastic. Robert, I do have to jump in here, unfortunately.
Yeah, please.
Like time just flies, and I loved your presentation. The integration of Verify is just tremendous and a big game changer, in my opinion, for online presentations. Job well done. Fantastic. And Robert, really appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.